Thank you for tuning in to the World Builder's Anvil, episode 304. I'm sorry, I have to get rid of my chipper introduction voice because I have something sad to introduce and announce to all of you. The Anvil is dead. Long live the Anvil.
Long live the Anvil. Don't know where to start building your fantasy world?
Do you need more? Does it make sense?
Forget any worries and become a crafter of imagination.
This is the place where we will prime your mind.
Now, it's time to heat up the forge.
Break out the mithril ingots and hammer.
Welcome to the World Builder's Anvil. I'm Jeffrey W. Ingram.
And I'm Michael Miller.
Let's sup from the mug of Java and build. Welcome back, supportive of the new Anvil. My name is Jeffrey W. Ingram.
Ringing in the new rain. I am Michael Miller.
Okay.
Jeff, what is going on?
Why am I killing things? Besides, I know we're not in a game and I'm killing things, which is unusual. Mike's.
Yeah, normally this is a GM thing of Jeff, but he wants to kill things today. And he's like, let's kill the show. And I'm like, what?
Well, why are we recording then? Because we have to record killing.
Yes, it doesn't count unless nobody knows. if it doesn't count if nobody knows, people have to see it and know it and be aware of it and record it.
For those of you who've been listening over the past, I don't know, 50 or so episodes.
Or 300 maybe.
You've noticed the show's been died a slow death. No. You'll notice like a lot of my opinions have changed on world building as I've gone through, as I've had the luxury.
You mean
of interacting with lots of people.
Finally learned all the things that I've been trying to teach you all these years, and you've realized how wrong you have been the entire time, and you should have been listening to every word I say, hanging on my every word, like you are now.
Are you done?
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Sure. You said you wanted this one to be dramatic.
Just the intro. I'm too lazy to like carry it through the whole episode.
Yeah, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Alas, poor Anvil, for I knew him well. Sorry.
Yeah. No, the reason I pulled out the big guns this episode and whacked the anvil, and it's been a transition that Michael and I have been sort of toying with. And really was today the first time we really had a chance to sit down and kind of finalize some of our thoughts on where we want it moving forward. And one of the problems I found doing a show called the World Builder's Anvil and attracting people who love to world build is people who like to latch onto that label have sometimes a tendency of being stuck on that label. And where I think it's an important skill set for genre fiction or really anything.
I love the title, but I have always felt that it might be misleadingly limiting, which it isn't. Which is to say, the label might be, but the show isn't.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think, especially early on, probably like my first 50 episodes, I think I only did world building topics. And then I kind of branched out from there, just because, not because I couldn't, trust me, I could go into topics every episode. And Michael would cringe and fall over because I myself love being in that moment of world building. It's the creativity there to me is something really genuine and I really enjoy. And but me, like many of the people who listen to my show, often get stuck there. And one of the problems is that we like it or we use it as an excuse to hide from it. So I wanted to break the show down, and we're still going to do world building episodes because the skill of world building is utterly essential. And not only genre fiction telling, but literally I was at a conference with business owners, and I was helping one of the business owners world build a offer they're coming up with. And explaining like, you need a place for people to go to for the type of offer you want to have. And you need a special vocabulary that they can all connect to. And they were up for it because they had kind of a Hogwarts style idea mixed into where they were going.
What does that even mean?
So like, when you go to Hogwarts, you get split up into different schools.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially that idea, there's a certain part of the process when you get involved in their business that they separate you into one of three schools.
So awkward and inappropriate segregation.
Yes, that is the goal. To level up people's nerdiness, I guess. So, but I don't want to get too much into what it is, but it was a cool idea. And so I sat down with the business owner and I helped her do some basic world building with it because, I think it's like if she had some world building elements for her brand, it would help sharpen up the experience she's trying to deliver in a way that she would also enjoy because she likes genre stuff. So it was a lot of fun. Whether or not she uses it's up to her. Or she uses it as a spark of inspiration and goes her own route. Who cares? But listening to me, as we've always learned on the show, is a path to success. Not doing as I do, but doing as I say. So the solution really is there are three things that I think are vitally important in the creative process, that involves world building. One is world building. So, about a third of the show will still be about world building. And then the next third will be about storytelling, because whether you're doing books or video games or most type of the way you deliver genre, there's a story. And I argue if you do a good image, there's a story to the image, even if it's not the type of story people are used to hearing. Images will encapsulate a story. That's how they become memorable. Stories are people remember stuff. So storytelling, whether you become a writer or you do video games or whatever you do, is central to the usage of world building. Even, I would argue, if you're doing it for educational purposes. Where I know there's a brand of people out there now who like to say, I just do world building for educational purposes. And that's wonderful. Maybe they don't want to do novels. Arxafetian, I think is how you would say it, is a great world builder on YouTube that I hit up his content all of the time. Interesting stuff, and he gets a lot more into the science of things than I do, but it's interesting stuff if you like world building, or if you're interested in science and how it interacts with the world. It's interesting stuff.
Science.
But for me, the stories are, even when you're learning something, when you can deliver it in a story, it means you've the ability, you've remembered it, and you can then explain it back to someone in a context. So, and like I said, the worlds are so large, you can't really create a new world. So storytelling is a way for you to focus in to find something that you want to world build and explain it back to people. And then finally, life. Let's be honest. If you're like me, or, if you're human, you have life interferes with being creative. Sometimes it's yourself that interferes. Sometimes it's your family members. It's definitely your boss.
Those meddling family members.
I like it. I bring up the boss and he goes back to family members.
Only because you said boss quicker than I could get to my statement, and I was already committed to saying it, or I might have turned it on the boss, but I think it's funnier the way I said it.
Or possibly a psychological issue that we're not going to have a chance to go into, thankfully, tonight.
Get rid of the family. Keep the job if you have to.
And we're going to try and mix them up a little bit here. I'm not sure exactly what order the episodes will be coming up, but the idea is if you listen through for a quarter, about a third, or there will be a third of the episodes on world building. There will be a third on storytelling and a third about what I call life, which could include just talking about movies and stuff out in the world, relaxation, just a little wider variety of topics. But the thing is, you need those things to be able to world build, and then you need a story as the way to deliver your world building so you can explain it to people, right?
I think one thing to really just say is that we're trying to balance out the show, and we've been slowly doing this over the past, much over the past year.
There was a whole while where I think we did 60 episodes in a row about one topic, and Michael was kind of starting to get annoyed there, and he literally assaulted me.
I don't think we quite did that, and I mean, please, we could do episode after episode out of how many times I've assaulted you, but that's a different subject. I'm just saying that this is not going to dramatically change what you guys have been experiencing from the show so far. No. It is like, this is kind of a clarifying episode right now that was just to let you guys know that,
for you.
Yeah, let you guys know that, we do think about the structure more so. I mean, really, Jeff gets more credit for this. I mean, he gives me a lot of credit on the show saying we, but that's not true. Like, most of this has been him.
Well, I just do that in case people get annoyed. I'll be like, oh, that's Michael. Oh yeah, that's Michael.
Oh, you want to have the option to scapegoat me.
That's right.
Okay. So yeah, we're a lot of what we're going to be doing is the same things we've been doing, but we're altering the structure so that it's more formulated and that you get a balance. Just like your life should be balanced, we want the show to reflect that. So
yeah. And so getting into some of the more detail here, just so you guys know what you can look forward to, and Michael and I can digress along the way. And part of it too is I'm really going to try and get us to 30-minute episodes.
Do we have to digress? I'd rather devolve.
You have devolved. You're no longer a human, that's for sure. So primordial goop.
Oh, to dream.
To dream the goopy dream. Okay.
I want to be primordial goop.
That kind of. I'm going to stop going down that road. Okay.
I've got more. I can go on, but I'll let you continue.
Well, I could see my brain. I could start connecting the dots in my brain. I'm like, I'm snipping this cord. I just can't help myself. Okay. World building basics. Now, this is something typically when we do world building, most of our topics fall into these categories. They're what I call basic categories, where we kind of get very like surface level into topics. And the idea is, I believe, like rule building, cultures, races, places, characters are all sort of world building basics. And so when I do really high level general stuff, it's we don't get too deep into it. But I call those basics. Those are the world building basics. And so we'll still do one of those a quarter, followed up by what I like to call the nerded up version. And that's where, we get really deep into like a culture or an idea, and we start getting more specific into some more specific questions that you could get into. Not necessarily specifics, for like a new race or a new culture, but just go more deeply. So instead of talking about climate, you're talking about a specific way to develop a microclimate. And we have done some episodes on that kind of stuff too. So like really like more detailed type of world building items.
Would you say that episodes where we've gone into, like, say, death rights and like picked a religion and ran with it, or a specific culture, like we've done a lot of Mesoamerican stuff, would you say that falls into a nerding up episode?
Definitely, like the death right one, I would call nerding up. Definitely when we talk about like cultures that exist and things we can pull out of them, it's a more nerdy way of talking about culture. So culture would be the basic. The nerdy one is like, let's take a cultural group and pull out some inspirations. Like Mesoamericans, we go back to a lot because they're stuff I'm learning about because I find them
awesome.
Cool. Learning about them is cool. It's kind of like most ancient cultures. All my stuff is set in ancient times across the world. I would never want to actually be in the places I like to read and learn about.
We hit the Mesoamericans a lot. We hit Roman and Egyptian a lot.
Mediterranean.
The irony is we don't do a ton in like feudal Japan or ancient China, but both of us like those. Both of us like those cultures a lot, though. So because we really should explore that more.
And we will, and I'll throw just a specific one out there is the Cathian culture in my world is based off of a difference between Western and Eastern culture that I learned about in college. If it's wrong, we can go back and find that professor and make fun of him because Jeff is never wrong on these things.
It's true. I read that on the web.
It's the idea where in the West, we very much get caught up in the vertical nature of things. So if you want to make an impressive tower, let's say for your church to ring a bell from, you would make the tower higher and higher. Sometimes, sure, they might lean over, but that's an exception. Normally it's about the height of the objects, and then you start getting into the skyscrapers. That very much came out of the Western cultural ideas, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's because of heaven and earth, and heaven being directly above us. And so the Tower of Babel was an attempt to get to heaven, and in many a way, tall structures, especially in the Christian sense, they're trying to do that same thing. And something, because of how that affects us culturally, means that we typically look to the height of something and go, "Wow." Now, traditionally, if you go into China, it's not about the height; it's about the width. So, the height of it laying down, you might say, so it's like the impressive thing about, let's say the Forbidden City is not this notion of the height of objects. It is about the width, and there's multiple ways in, and the way things are laid out within that. But the thing that would make it an impressive structure in ancient China is not the fact that it's tall, is that you have this gigantic city within a city. It's humongous, but it's because of all the landmass it takes up for, in theory, we're going to say one person to live there. Now, we know that a lot more than one person lived in there, but, it's really it's the emperor's home. And his home is a city within a city. So, that's very much of a different thing where, you think here, it's like, why did Trump build a tower and not a home spread out across central Manhattan? Because it's the tower is the status. It's not.
I don't know. I think
land
that,
base.
But you're picking a very poor example. Like if all land was equal, I do still. I believe.
Well, I know you're.
I believe he still would build a tower. Don't get me wrong, but
he would build. But I think he builds them all over, right? You go to Chicago, there's a Trump Tower.
You're picking very expensive real estate places. It's not exactly like
Chicago's a lot cheaper than New York.
It's still not cheap. It's not like he's going to Texas and building a big huge.
Yeah, but the thing is, he's not gonna. It's about the height to Trump, right? And that's just that's a Western. And I hate to compare all Western culture to Trump because he's not a good example of that. But he's someone who came from the culture.
So please, this is just a total sideways.
The reason why the World Trade Center and all of the skyscrapers were starting to build big was a Western sense of showing how impressive the cultures were. The reason other places have started to do it is to show that they can compete with us. So it's them talking to us on our terms. That's my overly generalized belief.
Just for anyone who listens to this show outside the United States, and we do know that there's a lot of you, and thank you so much. Mm-hmm. Trump is not a good example of what your average American is. Please.
No, but
please don't judge us all.
A schmuck from the culture group who has the money to build stuff.
I'm just throwing it out there.
But I'm saying, look at skyscrapers in general.
Yeah.
Yep. But yes, no, let's start going there.
Yeah. Sarah and I were actually, we were just in New York City the other day, and I was giving.
Was it cold?
It was cold, but not as bad as I was expecting. No, it really wasn't terrible. Like I was dressed for it to be, rough, and it wasn't that bad.
Good.
I'm going to DC in a few weeks, and I expect it to be frigid.
Yeah.
So we were in New York, and I was telling Sarah and her mom and her aunt, because I drove us down there for them to go to an event. And I, lived in the city. I know the city. So, or to be nitpicky, I lived in Queens, but know the city and feel comfortable driving there. So it was good for them. So they didn't have to take a train. Anyway, so we had extra time and we were driving around, and I was pointing out the Chrysler Building and the Empire State Building. And I was like, did you know that it was a race when they were being built to build the biggest tower in the city?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And the guys building the Empire State Building kept it secret that because the Chrysler Building was going to be taller. And they had, a tower plan and a spire, and their spire was going to bring their building just barely taller than the Empire State Building. And the guys building Empire State Building kept it secret that they also had a spire they were putting on the top of theirs. They waited till the Sears Tower was complete and then put theirs up, thus making theirs the tallest building in the city.
That's
right. And they put theirs up, making the Empire State Building at the time the tallest building in the city.
Yeah, until the Sears Tower, I believe. So, and now I believe there are even bigger ones, and the World Trade Center was bigger. The Freedom Tower, I'm not sure how many stories the Freedom Tower is, but I believe it's supposed to be. Is it bigger than the World Trade Center was? Or
I actually haven't been to the Freedom Tower, so I don't know.
Yeah, I've seen it from the harbor, but that's about it. I'm not like a kind of person who goes to the big buildings. When I look at architecture, I prefer just old stuff. So
me too.
Now, we'll still be doing Let's Build episodes because we love doing those for world building. And we'll be doing what I like to call In the Wild episodes, where we talk about an application of world building. It could be in media, it could be like an unusual area, or in something more common, just talking about ways to use world building. Because it's something that interests me. I don't know how many show topics will come here, so that might change at some point. But I just kind of, that's the thing that interests me, is like, how can world building be used? This is a skill we all like. Is this something that we could use in our lives beyond what you think of as in writing a book or creating a video game? What are outside of genre? What are things to do world building with? So, but we'll talk about those things as well too. Because
would you want to add this to the list? Maybe skill application.
Well, that's sort of what In the Wild is. How do you apply? It could be all of world building or segments of it. So. But yeah.
All right.
That's the purpose of In the Wild.
In the Wild.
In the Wild. Thanks to my youth and...
Wait, where are you taking us, Strider? Into the wild.
Don't call me Aragorn. No, I'm not him. Why would you even think that? I wasn't. Oh. That's how the scene went, I believe. Okay.
It's a good thing you're here to recount the exact things of Tolkien.
Tolkien or token? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Storytelling mechanics. Now, in storytelling, and we might talk about like different types of plot structures, or it'll be all over but anything mechanical about storytelling. And, it could be the flow of different elements, how to incorporate things, just whatever we want to about the mechanics of storytelling.
Characterization, plot layout, act structures.
And then we're going to talk about storyteller's block or writer's block for people who write. But the idea is we all have things that break, that cause us to block up. And maybe we'll talk about specific ones sometimes, maybe stuff more in general. But something that we have talked about in the past and we will talk about in the future. But because I think it's so important. One, because it's something that no matter how much you do stuff, sooner or later you're going to bump into it again, right? So blocks, what causes them? How are we getting past them today? Characters. And yes, there'll be character stuff in world building, but specifically involved in storytelling characters. And we'll talk about characters a lot. We love characters. So we wanted a whole category for characters.
Did we leave room for adventure episodes?
No.
No more adventure
we could do that in a Let's Build, right? Or we could do that under relaxation or life.
Okay.
So
as long as there's room for it somewhere.
And there are room for interviews. I'll be getting back into some of those in the future. I've been talking to a few people. I want to bring a few people in. Hopefully we can work out where Michael can be there. Those are the best, but we'll see. Now, the next two categories when we get under life are things that people might or might not be able to interview in, because I always like that first generic interview where we learn a bit about them and how they got into world building. So I like that. Those are ways to introduce people. But then if there's something specific that they want to talk about, in theory, they could come back. But that takes more planning, and I don't like that. So
you don't like planning? Who are you? And what have you done with Jeff?
But I do want to do some more interviews again. I did really enjoy doing them. And I would like to do a few more, but until I can hire someone to deal with the paperwork, it won't be
paperwork.
Is scheduling things and that kind of stuff.
Oh, you mean like the red tape of stuff?
I mean generic paperwork, not necessarily paperwork, because none of the stuff I do actually uses paper, except for the stuff that uses paper. So the first one is education. So that's just like something that makes us better people, more confident, better use of our time, better use of whatever we want to talk about. That's to help people get better at their life, kind of stuff, right? It falls under the education category. In theory, interviews could fall under there as well too. Or inspiration, things that we've done or we'd like to do, and how they can inspire us, or we think they can inspire other people. And like I said, there might be stuff that we wish we could do, or stuff that we have done that inspired us, or inspiration that we find in life. We've done episodes like that in the past too. But I think we always need to be thinking about inspiration. Inspiration leads to the good world building and storytelling elements that we need. Now, the next one is relaxation. This should not be a tough one for our crowd, I don't think. But I find it surprising how hard people find it to relax. You know, and if you're trying to world build for a specific project, that might not cause relaxation. You know, if you're trying to write a novel, that will definitely not cause relaxation. But really, relaxation is a key thing that people need in their lives to keep their brains open to being creative. So it's a very important thing, and we'll be talking a lot about relaxing. We'll probably just relax those episodes. We'll probably just put an episode out with the intro, 30 minutes of silence, and then an outro, and just meditate in there.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, that'll save think of it, how much that'll save on show notes, too. And no, we actually won't do that, folks. I'm joking. Unless I have a South Park moment.
Yeah, if he has nothing better to do that week, maybe.
That would be a bonus episode.
Or if you have everything better to do that week and you don't have time to make show notes.
I know. Oh, Michael can't come. I can't come. I'll just make an episode.
It's a meditation episode. Listen very closely and breathe. Count backwards from 30 billion to 1 while you listen to the easy listening sounds of silence coming to you from Windsor.
Now,
I've been Jeffrey Ingram.
In a calming voice, I'm going to do 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
That would be amazing.
that now becomes tempting.
I would pay for that episode. Put that one up on Patreon.
We'll put that on Patreon. Yeah. And then life, family, and friends can fall into here, but it's the relationships that are closest to us that need the most attention. And so we think it's important, and we've talked about the family in the past. The reason we have the real world task, the reason I put it in initially, is because family is so important to me. And when I say family, you can define families how you wish. It might not be blood relatives, or it might be blood relatives. It could be your friends. But for me, family are the people who are close to me. Like Michael is family, which means I can mistreat him all I want.
And he does. He does.
Yeah. So, but no, I just wanted to come together, and we've started transitioning the show several episodes ago, but we've never really put it down together. And, you know, and I figured we actually had the time today. So I hope you like where the World Builder Anvil is going. I know I've been enjoying transitioning here, and, you know, and I hope you enjoy it going into the future. But ultimately, you know, we have the audience to think the most. So for the world building task, I want you to think about, what is it you wish you had more of from us, and what do you wish you had less of from us?
And that list could be short. It might just say more Michael, less Jeff.
Or more Jeff and less Michael.
I doubt no one's going to send that.
Probably, I assume people will be like, Michael needs to become more humble like Jeffrey.
I don't think
that will probably be one of them.
You are the humblest.
I am the humblest, and you know it. You know it.
You are so humble. Like, I don't even know how to put it into words. Like, if there were awards for humility, you would have all of them, and you'd probably show all of them to everybody so they would know.
I'll tell you this. Like, I was talking about, this is like when I was a senior graduate from high school. I was talking to my mother about my humility. And finally, near the end of the conversation, she just started to cry. Probably, you know, overwhelmed with tears of pride.
I think it was
how humble I was.
She was stuck in a conversation with you for so long. I don't think it had anything to do with the content of the discussion.
It took days to learn how humble I was. It was a long list of humble achievements. And now for the real world task, and this will help you with the world building task. Go join the undercroft. That's the best way to connect with Michael and I. Go to facebook.com/groups/undercroft. You'll fill out, there's 3 questions that will pop up. You have to answer the first 2. The third one, you can only give if you want to. Is your email address is optional. You can actually even send rude comments to me in there. I appreciate those as well.
And I encourage it.
And Michael encourages that. You will get brownie XP from Michael for that.
Actually, no, I don't encourage rude comments. I encourage funny ones. I don't want people
to me, though,
actively disrespectful to you. That's my job.
Oh, you don't want people eating in on.
Yeah, I don't want them. Yeah. I don't want them treading on my turf.
Now, when you join in, just feel free to let us know. Hey, this is what you're missing. This is what you guys need to talk more about. This is what you guys should just shut up about. And this is what you guys need to start eating. Like eating bad things. I was thinking of an expletive in there. You should eat blank.
Gotcha.
But I'm not going to say that because.
Or if there's something that we're talking too much about, like enough already with how they built dams in the 1640s.
I would be shocked if I'm actually that as a show. Well, that's a good topic.
There's a lot to be learned.
Michael's like, hurry up and write in. Damn topic. All right.
Now let's talk about limestones for the next 13 hours.
Let's talk about why limestone is so important in your world building experiments, which you could really talk a lot about limestone.
You could.
Specifically. Okay. We will see you all next time. Have a great week. Thank you so much for listening to the World Builders Anvil.
We would love it if you would share the World Builders Anvil with 2 of your friends.
And so would they.
If they are unfamiliar with podcasts, then you get to introduce them to the wonderful world of podcasting.
Take them to Stitcher or iTunes, or best of all, just send them to our website, www.gardul.com.
That's GARDUL.com.
Now strike while the mithril's hot.